All right, let me try that again. So my name is Jen Bentley, and I'm the Alumni Engagement Officer for the Faculty of Health. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging that much of the work of the University of Waterloo takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our main campus is situated on the Haldeman Tract, the land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. Our active work toward reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is centralized within the Office of Indigenous Relations. Here in the Faculty of Health, we are fortunate to have Indigenous Knowledge Keeper Elder Henry with us to support us in our learning and creating many opportunities for learning and coming together as a community. So I'm excited to welcome you all to our Alumni Office Hours session today, featuring alumna Natalie Benik. Bringing alumni back to connect with students is an important priority for both the Faculty of Health and the broader university. It gives us an opportunity to show students what's possible and shine a light on paths that students might be interested in for their own futures. We host these Alumni Office Hour sessions every term, and we'll be continuing to do so. And I'd always love feedback from students about what careers you might be interested in learning more about or people you would like to hear from. So I do encourage you, if you have some ideas or careers you'd love to have featured, please share that with me in the chat. Or you can also send me an email at any time and we can connect to discuss opportunities as well. I'll put my email in the chat for you a little bit later. So to make the most of this small group session, I do want to ask that everyone turn on their cameras if you're able to. I know we've got some people joining from their drive home, but if you are in a place where you're able and comfortable with turning your camera on to join the session. So Natalie has some faces to talk to as people are asking questions. That would be great. And I do encourage you to use the reactions feature at the bottom to raise your hand if you have questions during Q&A as well. So because we have these nice small group sessions, I'd love to go through some introductions with everyone so we can get a sense of who's joining us for the session today. So we can go around and you can let us know your name, what program you're in, what term of study you're in, and also what interested you and kind of why you decided to join the session today. So you can see in the chat, Mariana has shared a list of names for the order that we'll go through. So you can follow that for introductions and just go when it's your turn in the list. So I will start. And if there are new people who join while we're going through them, there will just be new names listed in the chat. So just keep an eye on that. But as I mentioned, my name is Jen Bentley and I'm the Alumni Engagement Officer for the Faculty of Health. And I'm also a proud kin grad from Waterloo. Sherry.
Hi, I'm Sherry Sutherland. I'm the Director of Advancement for the Faculty of Health. And I'm here because I enjoy meeting our future alumni and hearing our current alumni speak and share their journey with us. It's always inspiring. So welcome to everyone, especially an appreciation to Natalie.
Hi, I'm Amara. I'm a second-year health science student, and I'm currently in my co-op term as the Alumni Advancement Assistant for the Faculty of Health. And I was interested in joining this meeting today just to learn about potential career paths that are available to me after graduation.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Mariana. I am another Alumni Advancement Assistant here within the Faculty of Health, and I'm also a fourth-year Recreation and Sport Business student, minoring in Legal Studies. It's awesome to be here, and I look forward to learning a little bit more about what Natalie is up to just as an alum. I always find all the careers interesting, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Vishnuga, are you here?
Yes, sorry about that. Hi everyone, my name is Vishnuga. I'm sorry I can't turn my video right now. But yes, I'm a MHI alumni, recent graduate. And I just joined because I wanted to kind of hear about what Natalie has to say. I know she has a health informatics specialization, I believe. So just curious to hear what she has to say about that. And I'm just trying to figure out where potential companies I could apply to and learn about. Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan. I'm in my 2B term of health sciences. Unfortunately, I don't have a camera to connect to my PC right now, so I just don't have that. Yeah, I'm interested in learning about health management that Natalie does, and the title sound really cool to me. So just here to learn. Thank you.
Amelia, are you able to introduce yourself? Oh, no problem. You can put your introduction in the chat if you like, and we'll continue on with Zoe.
Hi everyone, my name is Zoe. I'm currently in my second year in health science and I'm on my co-op term right now. I'm the communication assistant for the School of Public Health, and I joined today because I'm planning to specialize in health informatics. So I just wanted to see what opportunities are out there, as well as just what Natalie did through her studies.
Is the next one me, or would you like me to end off?
Yeah, I think we'll leave you to the end, Natalie, and we'll
Sounds
jump
good.
to Juliet.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Juliet Teodoro. I just recently defended my Master's of Science at the School of Optometry and Vision Science. And I joined today because I'm interested in learning about career prospects in the field, as well as learning more about eHealth and change management studies as well. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Ray T, and I'm joining, I'm in my 4B term of my undergrad. I'm specializing in health informatics as part of my health studies degree. And like throughout my co-ops, I've sort of had the opportunity to work in various digital health environments, whether that be like a startup or another startup, and got to work with all the vendors like TELUS Health. So I thought it was really relevant when I read Natalie's profile, and really interested to hear, Natalie, what your journey's been like. Thank you.
Great, thanks. And I think, Elion, would you like to introduce yourself too?
Yes. Hi everyone. My name is Elian. I'm a health studies grad from U Waterloo. And yeah, I'm here because I just like to learn about different health career paths. And I just started a role in health tech, and I just like to learn about, just other opportunities and stuff. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think, Amelia put her intro in the chat. So she's in 4A term, minoring in event management. She's also the research assistant for the school. And here because interested in eHealth, and thinks Natalie's job sounds really cool. So wonderful to have everybody. Oh, and studying health studies. That's great. Thank you, Amelia. And thanks everyone for joining. And Natalie, over to you, and you can tell us more about your cool sounding job and how you got there.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jen, and thanks everybody as well for joining today. It's really nice to meet you all, and I'm very excited to share more information with you. I've never met so many like eHealth excited folks before, so I'm very happy to share some information. And as well, I think we might talk about this at the end, but if you'd like to reach out afterwards, I'm happy to connect with you. But as a quick intro, so my name is Natalie Benik, and I actually graduated from the University of Waterloo in 2018. with a Bachelor of Public Health. So it's a bit interesting, and I wanted to share a quick fun fact about that. I'm actually a graduate from the first class of public health, which is very exciting. I feel like when I say that, it makes me sound kind of old, but it makes me feel better knowing that it's a relatively newer program. So I graduated from public health, and then as mentioned in this group, I did specialize in health informatics. So it's an option to essentially specialize in. And I was also part of the co-op stream as an undergraduate, just for some reference as well. So it sounds like most of you have some sort of understanding about kind of health and technology and health informatics. Just to kind of level set, because I know I'm going to be talking about it a lot, I did want to just kind of bring us back to really what is health informatics. And it's really just combining and looking at health services with health and technology or information technology. And as some examples and things that I actually currently go through on a regular day-to-day basis is some things that I wanted to bring today. So for example, how could a patient consult a doctor without leaving home? How could technology empower a patient to become more active managers in their health management? So looking at specifically at like a patient portal, for example, and how can we all work together to create kind of a common system for healthcare providers to be able to look at one patient's information. So I'm sure many of you are already familiar about that. I just wanted to level set because I wasn't sure exactly who would be attending today. But I'll dive a little bit deeper into kind of my career and specifically my background and how I've gotten to where I am today. So where I started, again, I was involved in the co-op program. So I did a number of different co-ops and placements. The first actually was with a health tech startup. So I have some kind of background in that. I actually also worked for a health and safety company, interestingly enough. And then I also did a co-op in health and wellness. So at the time, I wasn't really sure my direction, where I wanted to go. So I was really open to trying different things, figuring out what I like and don't like. So I then, so I ended that kind of health and wellness co-op, and my last co-op placement was actually with St. Joseph's Healthcare Hospital in Hamilton. And the entire hospital was moving to a new digital platform. So I was involved in the implementation and the deployment of that. And for me, that was really great experience. So that I graduated, fortunately, from the University of Waterloo, and I was really, really fortunate after many applications to many different jobs. I was really fortunate to land a job with TELUS Health. So I know some of you are familiar with TELUS. At the time, to be completely honest, I didn't actually know a lot about them. I was coming out with this health informatics option, and I didn't know TELUS Health was so actively involved in the healthcare system. But I landed a role with them. I was a change management specialist, and I was actually deploying an electronic medical record. So when you go to your doctor, typically they type up and they record information about you. And that was kind of the system that we were using. And the good thing about it is that that system that TELUS Health is offering is used about 80% across Ontario primary care physician practices. So essentially I would go out, I would train the physicians, I would onboard them and get them all set up kind of with this electronic system. So I did that for about 2 years and then moved on to where I am today. So I'm at a company called the eHealth Center of Excellence. They're a lovely, wonderful company. They actually were developed only not too long ago. They started as a company in 2014. They are a non-for-profit as well, but essentially they offer digital health services. So I started there also as a change management specialist and working through the deployment of something called e-referral. So it's an electronic platform, and it's meant to help minimize fax machines, because yes, fax machines are still surprisingly used in doctors' offices. So knowing that that's not necessarily the most up-to-date most secure version of sending patient health information. We're working on kind of phasing that out and working to kind of deliver that information electronically. So I was involved in that program, and then actually just about, honestly, this time last year, I had applied for another internal role within the company, which was the manager of integrated care. And so that's really where I am today. Fortunately, it all worked out. But essentially for what that means, what that looks like, I'm actually kind of seconded, or I'm acting almost like a consultant for Ontario health teams. So I apologize again for all the health lingo. For those of you that aren't aware, Ontario health teams were formed by the provincial government in about 2019, meant to replace the former LHINs, if you know anything about that. And essentially, I'm brought into these teams to act almost like a digital health consultant. So I go in and they have kind of their strategies and ways in improving kind of the patient healthcare population. And I'll provide some advice, some feedback, and I work with them to be able to kind of establish those digital health enablers and trying to, of course, fix what seems like a very broken healthcare system right now. So that is, I tried to be quick with my summary. I'm sure I could talk a lot more about those pieces in depth, but I'm just wondering if there's any questions. I'm happy to do is this kind of phases into the Q&A part.
That's great. Yeah. So if anyone wants to start with a question, again, you can use the raise hand feature under reactions that'll put you kind of in line for questions, and I'll call on people one at a time. So great to see lots of questions. Mariana, you can go first.
Hey, Natalie, super quick question. What would you say is the most enjoyable thing about your job?
Yeah, so I will definitely say it's hard work, but I would say it's very rewarding, to be honest. So I'm very passionate about healthcare. I knew kind of growing up that kind of being on the front lines, being a physician or a nurse wasn't necessarily for me. So I really find that this is really rewarding work that I can kind of see having an impact on patient care, kind of behind the scenes. So a really good example of that actually is within my team, we recently deployed a digital app, and it's basically the doctor's version of WhatsApp, if you guys know WhatsApp. It's all secure, it's patient compliant and privacy compliant. But essentially a good news story out of that was a doctor had said, oh yeah, I connected with a fellow physician and I was able to avoid my patient having to go to the emergency room, because we were able to sort out kind of what we needed to through that communication channel. So it's like little wins like that. And I hear whether it's from the patients, whether it's from the clinicians, from whomever. And I know digital isn't always the solution for everything, but pieces like that where it's a bit of an easy win. It's like, okay, something we can offer you and support, train you, but then seeing the outcome of, okay, it's actually making a little bit of a difference. So I find that pretty rewarding for sure. Great question.
Thanks. And Juliet, go ahead.
Thanks again, Natalie, for your little work story. I was wondering, just in terms of technical skills, so I'm coming into the industry a little bit from more of a research standpoint, clinical research background. So I don't necessarily have like maybe the more technical skills like Python or like data analysis in different softwares. So I'm wondering if you came in with any technical experience coming into the job, or if that's even required for like a change management position.
Yeah, you got it. And that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked, because this is something that I always felt personally was like a bit of a misconception going into the role. And so in my undergrad, I did my health informatics option. I did some computer science classes where you did learn kind of to develop, and you did learn some more technical skills, which I thought were really helpful and really interesting. But where I've landed today, I haven't necessarily used those particular skills. That being said, there's a lot of companies, there's even people within my company that are the developers that are working on the back end to create the tools. But myself, I'm more on the front end of the change management, of the project management. And I think that is a big misconception of people going into kind of the digital. It is really important to kind of know and learn quickly. And I'm sure we're all pretty good at understanding technology or knowing how to kind of figure certain tools out. But there isn't really any like hard technical skills that I really would say would make you stand out for kind of a job that I'm doing right now. So don't feel like you have to have those, you have to be experts in those, still apply, because there's a lot of essentially like soft skills that I think are really important in this role. If that helps answer your question. Okay, awesome.
Great. Zoe, go ahead.
I was wondering, how did you get those jobs? Like, was it through your network or was there some other opportunity that just came up?
Yeah, also a good question. I think I was quite fortunate there. I will say with my co-op opportunities, I will say I struggled finding co-ops, and I don't know if you guys in co-op have had the same experience, and especially being in public health, there wasn't a lot of known opportunities at the time. I think the way that I went into it though was, you know what, a job is a job and I'm going to learn things regardless, whether it's soft skills that I can kind of bring to the next job. So I will say like one of my last co-op jobs did really help me leverage kind of certain skills for my job after I graduated. But that being said, I would say like if you're looking for jobs or if you're looking for things that might match, really anything, you can kind of leverage anything. And by building those soft skills, you can kind of go in and really, yeah, leveraging those and kind of pushing those and sharing those. And I think you have a great opportunity. So apologies, that was a really long-winded way of saying, I think I was just really fortunate. I will say keeping connected and having that professional network is very important. And that's what's gotten me to my role currently from my job after graduating. But my co-ops, it was kind of just coincidence and the mindset of, hey, I'll take anything. Just knowing that, okay, I'll learn things that what I don't like, what I do like, and things that can help with the next job as well. If that helps. Okay.
Whenever students ask this question, I like to take a moment to plug our alumni network because I think a lot of people forget that that's an existing network that you are a part of because you are either a student at Waterloo or when you graduate from Waterloo, and really encouraging people to use 10,000 Coffees as a way to connect with someone. You know, maybe you've applied to a role or you're interested in a role at a company. You know, you can check the members list in 10,000 Coffees, see if any of our alumni work there. Especially the network in 10,000 Coffees, those alumni have already basically raised their hand and said, I'm available to connect with students and I want to help you out. So it's a great place to look for opportunities to connect with people at specific companies or doing specific jobs. And then similarly, you can do that on LinkedIn, obviously. But 10,000 Coffees, you know, is like an already warm network because those people have said, you know, I graduated from the same programs and I'm here to help. So yeah, always use that too. Okay, next question we can go to Ravati.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Natalie. This one's more of like your personal take on something that's sort of happening in Ontario currently. I think a couple months ago, we're sort of seeing these OHIP cuts to what virtual healthcare used to look like, and that's sort of making a lot of virtual care companies pivot into this private sort of place where they're coming from, you know, essentially no OHIP funding. I'm curious to see with, you know, someone that you've been in this field for a little while and you've kind of seen this grow into this direction. Where do you think it's headed in Ontario specifically?
Yeah, really great question. And I will say it kind of falls into something, another question I guess I could answer at the same time is it's probably one of the more challenging things about this job and this role is at the end of the day, it does relate to the government, does relate, there's politics involved. And as we know with healthcare, it gets tricky that way. And my role currently, I previously with my other roles, it was more for-profit work, and it was more specifically companies that were selling a product. Right now, I'm kind of supporting the OHTs that get the government funding to then deploy the digital health tools. And that's the tricky part, is consistently never really having a solid understanding of where it's going. So even this year, we're struggling with figuring out, okay, well, where is that money going to come from for kind of next fiscal and to continue on with our work, knowing that digital health does have an impact. And again, not to say that all digital health is the solution, but we always say that it's the enabler to be able to help fix some of the current issues or concerns. So if there's a gap in a system, perhaps then looking at different solutions and options. Yeah, there's always changing things with the government too, and that's been tricky. And even recently, over the past couple months, there's been some announcements in regards to the structure of the Ontario health teams and what that will look like. So it's a lot of up in the air. It's a lot of discussion internally to see how we approach this and how we continue. All we can say is that we've done studies, we've done evaluation and things in that sense to see that there is an impact in digital health, and there is an impact into some of these tools and a positive impact. So with that data, we can then hopefully push and continue to push for that funding, because as we know with healthcare, right, we can't get much done without the support of the government and the money. So it's definitely a tricky thing that we're navigating. So always happy to talk more about it, but definitely a challenge.
Totally. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries. Good question.
Megan, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you. I'm wondering how the hours are like for your job in terms of work-life balance.
Yeah. So I will say my company right now, they're really, really great. And for Jen's earlier comment about using the networking, I will say our company, so the eHealth Center of Excellence, they are really great about hiring new grads and hiring anyone really. So they do a really fantastic job about work-life balance and taking care of their employees essentially. So I have a lot of flexibility with my hours. We primarily work from home at this time, although there's an office that you can go to and use at any point. So my hours are flexible. I could do like an 8 to 4:30. It's usually 8-hour days. So I could do like an 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 really. My workload is quite heavy right now due to the timing of the year. Just around kind of end of fiscal, things really start to ramp up in terms of project and deliverables that need to be due and complete. So I'm definitely working more than that right now, unfortunately. But by no means is there any expectations and continual conversations with my boss and management to say, hey, here's my capacity. And if I'm struggling, I'll bring that back to them and they'll kind of work with me to figure out different options and solutions. So they're really great. And it's very much like a trust-based company as well. So if you get your work done, they're usually pretty flexible. I know a couple colleagues will maybe go and travel for a bit of time and then work abroad. Again, getting all their stuff done and attending the meetings they need to, they can kind of work from a different location. Fortunately, since we are virtual in that case. But yeah, I have good things to say about them for sure. And they're not even here. So
Okay, thank you.
If they're listening. Yeah, no problem. All really great questions.
I'm just looking at some of the questions that were submitted in the chat, in registration earlier. And there were a lot of similar questions about the first one was about advice for someone who's unsure of where to go post-grad. And similarly, advice for young or early professionals in finding direction for their career. So wondering if
Yeah,
share some advice on that.
yeah, absolutely. And I think this is really fantastic. And looking back to, I was like, man, I really wished I had kind of had these opportunities, or I had explored more opportunities with kind of the university and those options. But yeah, in terms of advice, sorry, Jen, do you mind repeating the first one? I think it was just regards to advice for coming out of school and looking for jobs. Okay.
Yeah, just figuring out, if you're not sure where to go.
Yeah. So my advice, and I know I had mentioned this previously, but I think it's important to look at everything. And I know that doesn't really help, as I know, because the thing that I struggled with too, and I think a lot of, I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot of other people as well, a lot of my friends coming out of undergrad, is there's a lot of pressure, I think, from society for folks and students to feel like they need to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, or to know exactly what they want to do. And I was that student coming out of it where I didn't. I had a general idea, yeah, I like digital health, but I don't really know where that can land me. I don't exactly have a company or a role in mind. So I think some advice is really just apply and be open to anything. And I did that, again, kind of mentioning I didn't really know anything about telehealth. I just one day, in my many applications to jobs and roles, TELUS had popped up as an option. I looked through it, and I will say as well, use those soft skills to your advantage as well. And for me, looking at job applications, it's a bit nerve-wracking to say, hey, I don't have this certification or this many years experience. Still apply for it. You never know. And I think jobs are really great at, okay, understanding this is a good person that we can be able to then mentor and kind of work through to build in terms of their career development. So really just apply to everything. And I will say, for me, at least kind of in the maybe older generations or my parents' generation, it was very common for them to have a career and to stay at it for maybe 20, 30 years. The landscape these days is very different. So it's not uncommon to be working at a job maybe a year or two, get some skills under your belts, figure things out, what you don't like, what you like. And then, and not to say that that's what you have to do, but it's not uncommon to then see, okay, maybe it's my time to try something else, or I don't love it. And that's okay too. I mean, it is good to obviously stay and build skills and build those relationships, but I think it's okay to just start with something and then kind of move your way from there. And that's what I did as well. So I think that would be my advice, just to be open to trying things. And it's really hard to tell from a job description sometimes. So just be open to trying it and kind of see where it goes from there.
Awesome, thank you. Ravati has another question.
Yeah, so a question I have is, again, I've had multiple discussions with, people in my network and my mentor about this, but I'm really curious to see what your take is going to be. As someone who's graduating with a bachelor's of science in health studies, and I've got sort of like a specialization with health informatics, and I've been really lucky enough to sort of get my co-ops in that digital health field. I've always wanted to get my master's as well. I've always wanted to do a master's in health informatics. Just know that was the field for me. And the question is sort of, with the sort of trend that you're seeing with new grads getting hired, there's a question of, well, do you do your master's immediately out of your undergrad, or do you sort of, get into that work field and get some experience before you jump into that? And I'm curious to see what you've seen in terms of what employers value more, whether that's sort of that back-to-back education field, or if there's a little bit of experience that's thrown in there and the value of it essentially.
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny actually, because my company currently, they actually work really closely with Conestoga College that also offers a health informatics degree, I believe is what it is. And so interestingly, I'll have to tell my manager and my director to kind of come towards the Waterloo area as well. But that being said, we do hire a lot of new grads out of that program, specifically Conestoga. But recently I've also noticed we do hire a lot of folks that have just completed their master's, whether it's informatics. We have a couple of health management master's folks as well. So more commonly, and say more often than not, I see we hire people that have done kind of the education back to back, whether it's undergrad and then master's or some other sort of program. But that's not to say I think they 100% would value and respect you if you decide to say, hey, I'm going to work for a bit, and then kind of go on to that further education. So one thing that's also really great about my company and specifically my manager is we do talk a lot about development. And that's advice I'd give kind of anybody in this space as well. It's really, really important to talk about development, because as much as you are there to help your company in your role, they're also there to be able to help you and support you. And I think that was a big lesson learned for me. And sorry, I'm kind of digressing here. But it was important for me in regards to that, because coming out in the working world as a new grad, I was a bit nervous. Like I didn't really know how to find my voice kind of in that sense. So it's really important to also push and say, okay, how is it that this company, or what do you suggest, or how can you help me develop and grow in terms of my career and in terms of an employee? So actually it's right now that I'm having more of those conversations with my boss, and that's something I struggled with at my last job, but this job I will say is really great for that. And we're having those conversations and looking, okay, where is it that I want to be in 5 years? What does that look like? And then perhaps tracing it back to that further education. Is it my master's? I personally don't have my master's, but I am actually looking at right now further certification. So there's like a change management certification. There's your PMP, project management professional certification. There's a few others as well. So I'm just working directly with my boss and my management to essentially sort out based off my career and my goals, what kind of fits with that. So it is a mix. But I will say we do actually have a lot of folks that have come out of grad school rather recently that have started with us.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sorry, that was like a big tangent.
Oh no, that was perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
I'll also add to that, maybe Natalie, so you know, but so everyone else knows also, that the university does offer a good range of professional development opportunities for students and alumni, and alumni do get a discount on those programs as well. So there is project management certifications in our in our professional development. So just something for people to be aware of as well when you're looking to maybe add to your skills when you graduate, that those opportunities do exist at a discount for our graduates as well. So
yeah, thanks, Jen. How terrible. It's something that I didn't actually know myself. And I do know during my undergrad, there were opportunities, like I think there's specific courses for like project management. And I know that when you do a co-op, there's an option to do like a professional development project management course as well. And that is something, again, I guess for advice or looking back, that I wish I had maybe further explored. Just because it's skills that you could use really anywhere. And I think it's kind of just gives you a bit of an edge up to say that, oh yeah, like I've done a little bit of work towards this, which I think is great too.
yeah, definitely. So you took the next question right out of me. I was going to ask, and if there's anything you want to add, please go for it. But someone asked if you could give your past self a piece of advice before beginning your career journey, what would it be?
Yeah, so it would be definitely kind of working on, I don't know if I necessarily call it a soft skill, some soft skills. I think within my role currently, communication and effective communication is really, really important. And I know that sounds very self-explanatory and very easy. But specifically, we're in my role, I work with a lot of different organizations, different people. Relationship building is really, really important. And it maybe doesn't come as easier to some, or even specifically, like I recently did a course on conflict management and resolution, just because I personally had been experiencing some more difficult people and conversations that I was part of that I had to be able to manage. So if there's anything like that you can kind of come across in your undergrad, or if there's courses or things like that, professional development, I think is really important. That's something I didn't really do when I was in undergrad. So maybe kind of exploring that along with also kind of my regular course load. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I can think of right now. I would say kind of those pieces. And I see some people in the chat, which is fantastic. Oh yeah, PAX 202. I remember hearing about that one. I was like, oh darn, should have taken that. I'm just trying to think of something else. I kind of referencing also networking. So I think what you guys are doing today is fantastic. Absolutely love it. I think, and hopefully you guys will experience this also, but I'm finding the healthcare world is a lot smaller than I would have thought. So networking is really, really important. And for example, just recently I was on a meeting for my current job, and on it was an old co-op boss or manager of mine at the time. So we had a few laughs and we got to chat about that. And you really honestly do run into people across different organizations. And so I think it's really, really important to keep up that professional network as best as you can, whether it's through LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, or even just people that you may have kind of run into, whether it's through undergrad or some volunteering or whatever. Just kind of make sure you keep up to date with them and try and contact them and connect with them as much as you can. I think that's important too. I wasn't so great at that in undergrad, so definitely something I would have been better at looking back for sure.
Yeah, I think networking can be an intimidating thing for people, students, alumni, really everyone.
Yes.
It's always hard to put yourself out there, but
yeah.
I think, people are often surprised by the openness that a lot of complete strangers have to connecting with you and being able to say, like, I went to Waterloo too, like, especially, when you have that Waterloo connection, it's like an instant bond of like, I was there too, and I know what
relate.
it's like.
Yeah.
So it's always a great way to break the ice, especially on LinkedIn. I find if you're just reaching out to someone you haven't met before, just lead with, I saw that you went to Waterloo and so did I. It's a good opener.
Yeah, just actually a recent example too of like the power of LinkedIn is I had somebody reach out to me and she had said, so in my previous role, I went and I've met a lot of people, and clinicians and admin staff through my previous role. And she reached out to me and she said, hey, we had actually met. You had worked with me very, very briefly, like 3 years ago. But I see you're working here and I'd love to learn more about kind of your job and your position. And exactly as Jen said, there's a lot of wonderful people out there who are willing and happy to tell more about kind of their career. So we jumped on a call and we talked for a really long time, but eventually that ended up, I ended up kind of flagging her resume to our HR department and she ended up getting the job and she works with us now. So just a good example of like the power of LinkedIn and just messaging people and say, hey, I have this connection, or would you be interested in telling me more about what you do? Because usually people are pretty good about talking about their jobs or want to talk about their jobs and their career. So definitely kind of a piece of advice is keep that up to date and definitely use that as a tool.
Thanks. Just pulling another question that was submitted during registration that's a little bit different from what we've talked about so far. But it was asking, do you have any tips on where to apply for project management opportunities in the field of public health?
Ooh, that is a very good question. I'm wondering, is the person who asked on the call, and I guess I'm just wondering, specific like project management to healthcare? is that kind of what the question is asking?
I didn't see who asked that question. But I think just generally, like, is it specific, like you have to look at specific company websites, or are there like good like industry type websites that a lot of
provide
it on, or is it just like LinkedIn or?
Yeah, so for project management, I would say it's pretty general. There are definitely some sites, and I know as well, there are some master programs specific to like healthcare management, working with like projects in healthcare. But from my experience and like what I've been focusing on, it's been more general. So I feel like they provide, in terms of kind of those certificates and those programs, they provide kind of the general like rules and strategies and things that should be kind of followed in that process and in looking at managing that particular project. And then from my standpoint, it's okay, now having kind of that health background, then how do I apply that information or those strategies that I've learned from kind of that general information session. So apologies, I don't know have a good specific example, but honestly, I think just a general project management program or certificate would be really great experience. Doesn't necessarily have to be in healthcare.
Thanks. I think I meant like where to apply for jobs.
Oh, sorry, that was very
but both answers
very different. Okay. Yeah, so there isn't, unfortunately, one spot for just healthcare related jobs. I primarily used LinkedIn, Indeed. Oh gosh, I'm thinking back. I was like, oh, it's been a little while since I've I've looked for a job. How did I do it? Nothing in particular that was very different specific to healthcare. I would say LinkedIn, I think, is a really great option because I think it has more options for like filtering. And is able to better pick up keywords based off that. But I might recommend too, like if you were to just kind of look up some organizations, for me specifically, there is some digital health tools that I've come across where I think, oh, this is kind of neat. If you know the name of the company, you can go directly to their website as well. And then they're usually for my company as well, they have a little spot for hiring. Or sometimes they have an HR email that you can just kind of submit and say, I would be interested if there's any openings or options that way. I think that's a good way. And otherwise, yeah, it'd be really great if there was just a specific place for just healthcare. Unfortunately, there hasn't been anything that I've come across.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, just keeping an eye on the time. We're getting close to 5. So just want to make sure that everyone on the call has an opportunity to ask any other questions that they have for Natalie. And Natalie, if you want, we can take a look at the questions submitted and see if there's anything you want to touch on before we have time. Oh, I do see it looks like Elian has a question too.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there were any like specific tools or technology that stand out to you, like anything that was very fulfilling that you were involved in, just like in general in any of the roles that you were in.
Yeah. So I would say the technologies that the hospitals use, I think, are quite interesting and quite important, I think, from kind of like a digital health standpoint. So I've previously worked with Epic. It's usually for the hospitals, it's either Epic, Cerner, or Meditech. And that's not to say that you have to know all of those or know what they look like or anything like that. But I think those are really fascinating and really, really interesting to see how they work within kind of the acute care space. I'm a little bit biased. The company that I work for right now, they support what's called the e-referral platform. So it's an e-services program. They offer e-referral. And it's actually, the technology is called Ocean, which is funny because it's not relating to oceans at all. But the technology is Ocean. The company is called Cognizant MD. And fun fact, they're actually relating to TELUS somehow, one way or another. There's a lot of technologies that kind of relate back to TELUS. and they're doing really, really well. So Ocean offers, they're now actually doing online appointment booking for patients. And that's a provincial program that's being rolled out. So ideally, we can somehow book appointments online for our hair salon or for our nails, but we can't do it for our doctor. So Ocean is deploying that. Patient messaging, so your doctor can message you and back and forth. Patient reminders, so if you have an appointment, you get a reminder update. And then the e-referral program. So doctors can use Ocean to then send an electronic requisition, essentially, for an MRI, for a CT, for a specialist. And then that communication is all streamlined, so it doesn't go by fax. So they're doing really, really well in terms of the digital health space and industry. But there's definitely a number of different tools and solutions out there. And the way that the Ontario healthcare system works is they don't enforce one solution. They kind of say, hey, here's a list of maybe like 5 or 6 that are allowed. And then you can kind of be the deciding factor. You can decide and choose, and pros and cons to that. But yeah, there's a number of solutions that we always offer, and we try not to be biased for kind of the clinicians and the people that are using them. It's really what's going to fit best with their clinic and their practice. So I'm not sure if that actually answered your question, hopefully.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, good. I seem to like go off on other tangents here, so I'm glad I could answer that. It's a good question.
Amara, go ahead.
I have just more of a general question, but have you experienced any setbacks in your career path that maybe even later realized was an advantage in some way? And if so, what were some methods or tools that you used to overcome the setbacks?
Yeah, so great question. I personally would say and I know we all kind of we're all going to be experiencing this, is coming out of undergrad and starting a full-time position. And my first role, I was very much the youngest by far on the team that I had at the time. And a lot of my colleagues and coworkers were very far along and well advanced in terms of their career. And to me at the time, it was a bit of a setback and something that I struggled with a little bit internally in terms of my work and what I was producing, and even just finding my voice. I always struggled with the fact that on a regular basis, I'm working with older folks that have very well-established careers and kind of professional development and even working in the clinical space as well. I would sometimes feel like I get looked down a little bit upon the way that I'm coming into maybe a doctor's office, telling a doctor what to do. They're maybe not a huge fan of that. And then my age didn't really play a great factor in that. And then I was pretty young at the time coming out of school. But honestly, I really do think that was just an internal setback. Sure, there may have been opportunities where I thought and overthought things about perhaps not speaking up when I should have in a particular meeting because, hey, I don't have as much experience. So I think it was just really just finding my footing, talking to my colleagues about it. A few of them were aware, hey, I felt a little bit, I don't know, concerned, but I felt a little bit shy in a sense because I was the new one and everybody else was very far along. So it was really just kind of having that open conversation. And I think, I'm not to say that moving jobs was the solution, but I do think kind of starting somewhere new and starting fresh really allowed me to move forward and find my voice and feel confident in my skills and abilities. So that was a bit tough in terms of a setback, but it didn't necessarily, I like to think it didn't necessarily impact my work, but I will say things have progressed quite a bit. I feel better and more confident, yeah, in my career now. So great question.
Thank you, Amara. And we have time. If anyone has one final question, does anyone want to ask the last question of the session? Otherwise, I think maybe Natalie, if you just have any final advice or wisdom that you'd like to share as the group thinks about, what's next for their or for beginning their careers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say too, you guys are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn or reach out. I'm not sure if you guys will provide my email, but happy to share that. And even if you just want to chat one-on-one. I was really fortunate as well, even just having peers around me, and I have some older family members I was able to connect with and consult with and chat with on a regular basis, even when it came to the application process and chatting through resume. And I know the University of Waterloo has really great resources for development, specifically around resume building and cover letters and such. Definitely leverage those. I 100% did, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, just continue those conversations, continue kind of connecting it as best you can is what I would say. And that's gonna hopefully help you lead you down the right path. But I see another question as well.
Sure, Jana, go ahead.
Oh, hello guys. Sorry, I just came home. I have one question. Can you hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So as I understood, if I missed it, correct me. That you worked in a private kind of company and in a government company. Is it right?
That's
or
correct.
not? Yeah. So can you compare, I know it's a strange question, but whoever I ask give me very different answers. So can you compare the approach that each company have, or what the work culture is, or if there is anything, so something different? I know that we have some assumptions or ideas how different private company from government, but something different that I cannot find online. If you can share, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a fantastic question, because even when I was looking for my career change at the time, I was going from private to essentially public, and I was nervous because I hadn't heard much about it. And yeah, you hear things about public specifically, and so yeah, happy to chat about that. So I'm actually really, really happy with where I am in terms of the public versus private. So pros and cons to both. But what I will say from my company, and I know it's not the same for all public-based companies, but they actually do a lot better of a job for specifically their employees. And I think it does relate back to, it is a bit of a smaller company. Although they've expanded, they're about just over 100 people now, which is actually not so small anymore. But they've been a lot better in terms of career growth and development. So I think also because it is a bit smaller, they're more open to, hey, we have the opportunity and the time to work with you and to help you grow. For actually the current role that I have now, I was actually reached out by a director of this company at the time saying, hey, we think you would be a great fit. Would you be open to kind of this option? And I really, really think that was what helped me. It gave me the confidence. It gave me kind of the vote of respect that, hey, I could do this, versus I left the private world because I felt it was almost too political internally when it came to the culture, that I would not have been moving as I would in kind of the public space. So I felt stuck. I felt like there wasn't a lot of career growth. I was looking for other internal options, but it was too big. It was too political that it would have been too difficult. And I did apply, unfortunately didn't get the other internal options. So I'm really happy with kind of the public space in that sense. They've been really great in terms of kind of development and looking after their employees. So for me, the large private space was a little bit too much. You're kind of just a number, but that was just kind of my experience so far.
Yeah, thanks for answering that.
Yeah, no worries. I could go on for a while, but I know we're at time too, so I will end it there.
Well, thank you so much. Natalie, is it your Gmail that you would like to share?
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm going to put it in the chat for everybody here, and your LinkedIn. So if anyone who's interested in connecting with Natalie, if you want to grab that quickly from the chat before we end off, that would be great. And thank you again, Natalie, for offering to be available and to connect with everyone here. It's a great
Absolutely.
opportunity for everyone to add someone new to their network and have someone that they can chat with about career opportunities. So I'll just thank you again for being here, Natalie. Thank you to all of our students and alumni who've joined tonight. I hope everyone had a great time learning about Natalie and her career path and opportunities for you. I will mention that you will get a survey in your email. It's a quick choice of smiley face emojis, so please take a minute to give us some feedback on today's session when you get that email. And in addition, I do also want to plug an event we have coming up in the Faculty of Health. We do have a book launch coming up on February 15th. I'm putting the webpage in the chat for everyone as well. Oh, that didn't hyperlink. Maybe Mariana or Mara can fix that quickly. But we are welcoming an alumnus back to launch his book called True Founder. It's about his entrepreneurship story, and it's happening on campus for any students who are on campus or alumni who are close by. I encourage you to take a look at the webpage and register to attend in February if that's something you're interested in, or please share it if you have friends that are interested in entrepreneurship, or you just like to come out to interesting events with interesting speakers and people. Yeah, come out for the fun and learning opportunity there. So that is it for me. Thank you all for being here. Natalie, I'll just say thank you a million times over, because it's so great when we have alumni open to hosting these sessions for our students and young alumni too. So thank you all so much. And hopefully everyone can stay safe in this weather if you are in Waterloo or Ontario getting hit with snow. So have a safe night and thank you all. And Natalie, if you can just hang on a minute, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.